Each color on a geological map of Cape Breton represents a different type of rock, formed at a different time, with a different story to tell. This almost psychedelic complexity reveals that Cape Breton isn't actually a thing at all. It's a composite of 4 different geological terrains. Only a tiny portion near Meat Cove is actually North American. All the rest form thousands of kilometers apart on the other side of a now vanished ocean. Cape Breton's 1.5 billion-year story tells of that fantastic journey, of colliding continents, volcanic eruptions, rising and falling seas, and the life and death of the strange animal communities that lived in these shifting environments. It's a story hidden in plain sight in the island's landscape. Every scenic vista, every cliff, every waterfall and coastline and beach tells part of the story, if you know how to read it. Here, a 300-million-year-old tree, standing where it grew, is testament to a vanished tropical world. Here, stark white gypsum tells of our desert past and our industrial present. Here, a lighthouse stands as silent sentinel over a 600-million-year-old volcanic eruption. Here, 100 million years of time have vanished, leaving a geometric puzzle to solve. Here, a landscape shaken by ancient earthquakes. Here, broken by colliding continents. And here, crushed and bent. This hidden history waits to be visited, touched, and understood. Each new lesson unveils more questions, and with those questions come a desire to explore. Our geoheritage is well documented, but poorly leveraged. Outside of a couple of signs along the Cabot Trail, it remains largely untold. Elsewhere in the world, geotourism is big business. In Ireland, with a very similar geology to Nova Scotia, geotourism was worth €240 million in 2017. With 4.5 million visitors to fees charging geotourism sites. Government-backed community initiatives have led to international recognition of geoheritage across Atlantic Canada, except in Cape Breton. This is not entirely true. In Sydney Mines, volunteers have quietly run a fossil center with one of the world's top collections of coal-age fossils. This 5,000 square foot facility was built by forward-looking community members with federal help. For 20 years, this facility has inspired tens of thousands of students and visitors, but it has never reached its potential. A different vision existed from the start. Commissioned studies in 1998 and 1999 envisioned a world-class facility that would draw visitors to the north side. Minutes from the Newfoundland Ferry and a minor detour for travelers on the way to Bedeque and Louisbourg, the center's strategic location could target hundreds of thousands of tourists already in the area, keeping them and their dollars in the CBRM for longer. This proposal builds upon that original vision, leveraging the human and physical assets of the fossil center to create a new geocenter in Sydney Mines, which would tell the complete story of the island, tying fossils, plate tectonics, and our industrial history together to reach the broadest possible audience. This investment would complete the original vision by telling the coal age story in a cutting-edge manner, modeled after exhibits in Joggins in the UK. But it would also tell the story of the early life that swam in Cape Breton seas before anything existed on land, and of the ferocious beasts that eventually crawled its surface. These are stories that continue to attract international attention. Finally, it would tell the story of the Ice Age and its end. A story that includes the arrival of the Mi'kmaq with climate lessons for the future. While no facility in the Maritimes tells this complete story, St. John's Johnson Geocentre provides an excellent exemplar. It weaves the stories of rocks and people, it is located minutes from a cultural heritage site, and it acts as a multi-use community facility, widely used for conferences, parties, and weddings. A Cape Breton Geocentre would act as more than just a tourist destination. It will provide engaging, hands-on learning, both in the lab and the field. inspiring students' curiosity and helping to produce the next generation of scientists. But opportunities extend beyond this. The center could also host students in hospitality, marketing, and other fields, leveraging CBU's expertise and providing opportunities for hands-on training. This investment would be a local game changer, but the impact of the Geocentre would go far beyond the north side. In fact, this is the core aspect of the proposal. By featuring rocks and stories from across the island, the Geocentre would provide an opportunity to explore for those unable to physically travel, such as visitors on day trips from cruise ships. That initial connection is likely to inspire at least some of those visitors to return to the island for a longer stay in the future. But more importantly, those same cross-island connections would encourage wider exploration. We envision a hub-and-spoke model where the Geocentre acts as a gateway to island geoheritage, supporting a network of science sites across the island, as well as commercial tourism activity, including, potentially, Indigenous-led experience at places like Glooskap's Cave in English Island. Much of the hard work has already been completed in terms of identifying opportunities around the island. What is needed is support to realize the opportunities they create. As one example, consider Ingonish, where interpretation could draw tourists to the town's existing harbors, parks, beaches, and walking trails, and also support novel commercial experiences, such as boat tours. So why now? The time is ripe. Geotourism is a proven concept here and abroad. There is interest from all levels of government. A generational investment in STEM education is underway at CBU, creating opportunities for collaboration and education, and tourists are seeking more meaningful and locally authentic experiences. New potential investors have arrived on the scene. And Canada and Nova Scotia have recognized the crucial need for energy and resource security, giving new importance to the earth sciences. To realize this potential, we have developed 3 scalable pathways for investment. The lowest tier, which also brings the least return, would see a redesign of exhibits within the current fossil center. Lack of space would limit much of this vision, but the modernization would boost effectiveness as a tourism and education facility. More ambitious investments would expand and redevelop the facility to meet the vision previously described. Our second scenario would triple the exhibit space and expand the physical footprint of the fossil center to add outdoor education. Inside, visitors would experience a compelling retelling of our billion-year history, with ties to regional contributions to science and industry. Outside, a trail through an interpreted modern forest would draw connections between the island's modern ecology and the coal forests of the past. And boulders from across the island would support geoscience instruction and point the way to island-wide exploration. The third scenario imagines a new building located at scenic Swivel Point. This location would create a tourism cluster, linking the historical Atlantic Memorial Park to the new Geocentre via a 1.5-kilometer walking trail through coastal estuary and beach. This combined attraction would provide a full day of visitor experience. All of these are possible. The community will, expert support, and opportunity exist. What is needed is financial and logistical backing to make this vision a reality. Are you ready to help make the island's past its future?